Hello and welcome to episode 81 of Just Keep Writing.
A podcast for writers.
By writers.
To keep you writing.
I'm Marshall.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brent.
And I'm Will.
And Will has a guitar in his hand. We are here to introduce an episode that came from Worldcon. But before we get to that, I want to give a big shout out and a thanks to our new patrons on our Patreon page. So that's a great way to support the show. So thanks to everybody who's doing that. And don't forget, if you are a listener and want to help us out, to give us 5 stars on wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a written review. And we got one. Will?
Sure. This is from Shannon Writing, left on January 4th, 2022. Fun and great for aspiring SF. Science fiction. Really enjoy the dynamic among the hosts. Inclusive, playful, and thoughtful. Some great interviews with authors as well as craft of writing episodes. Will is my favorite. Thanks, Shannon.
I'm pretty sure you added the Will is my favorite part at the end.
Maybe, but I needed a boost of self-confidence today, so I just added it in there.
That's fine. We'll let it slide. No big deal.
Okay.
No big deal. All right, gentlemen. So before we release this week's episode, again, this is another road show, I guess we're calling it, from Worldcon. And editing this, there's only a little bit of funkiness in the beginning. It's kind of hard to hear Brent at some point, just for a little chunk of time. So stay with us. The rest of it is pretty darn good, and it's amazing listening to you guys talk. But I'm going to let you, Brent, maybe tell me what people have in store for, or what people have to look forward to listen to on this one.
Yeah, so I actually had the honor of speaking with Maurice Broaddus and Sheree Renée Thomas. If you do not know them, they are two titans in the science fiction and fantasy field. They have been in this industry for a long time and have done a lot of incredible work. And it was definitely my honor and pleasure getting to speak with them. It kind of felt like that moment where I felt like I was sandwiched between, I felt like Tom Holland between like Chris Evans and Robbie Downey Jr. And it was a lot of fun, and I definitely enjoyed the conversation that we got to have.
And I gotta say, I wasn't there, but I've been listening to this, editing it, and I've met Maurice several times, and I love him. I've never had the honor of meeting Sheree, but listening to you guys and talking about what it means, what that Hugo means for marginalized writers and Black writers, and just kind of a look forward at what this award means. It meant a lot to me, so I really appreciate you guys having that conversation. So, and you guys and Will and Nick, you guys were in the room. Any thoughts before we turn it over to the episode?
Well, I mean, if you like emotionally raw interviews, I don't know if we could do any better than this.
There were some moments.
There was some moment. I probably will listen to it one more time, and that's about it, because it is emotional. It is raw. I mean, like Maurice said all night, my night is fire.
That was so fun hearing him say
I'm really, really happy for everything. Brent, I'm really happy for you. I don't know, I'm starting to tear up over here again all over. If you guys haven't checked out Sheree Renée Thomas, though, talk about a titan. You know what I mean? We had some really good discussion around Octavia Butler as well. I don't know. Will, I'm going to turn it to you. I'm going to cry.
It was a really magical night. And it was nice to hear Brent smile again and just hear the joy in his voice. And Sheree and Maurice just really being touched. And, I was just there witnessing the wonderful things happening to my friend and to Fiyah, which completely deserved it. So I was just a witness. That's all.
You also asked some incredible questions too. So I'm going to give you a little shout out on that. A couple of those questions, I'm like, what are they going to say? And the results were amazing. So we have links in the show notes to Sheree Renée Thomas and Maurice Broaddus. Check out their work, support them, and yeah. And if nobody has anything else to say,
I think we're going to do more specials like this when we're doing our world tour.
Absolutely. All right.
Just
well,
saying.
enjoy the episode.
Just so Marshall knows, we got the infamous Maurice Broaddus here with us, Brent Lambert, Will Ralston, and yours truly, Nick Bright. But want to do another live reaction here with Maurice, who's been in the industry for a while. And kind of want to open up with this question, Maurice. How's your night?
My night is fire. My night is fire right now. I thought you knew.
Oh, I know. I knew, but I need everyone else to know that tonight is fire.
Tonight is fire.
And you ain't doing nothing else but feeling
Nothing
fire
else.
tonight.
Nothing else. My night shut down.
It is 1:30 in the morning.
Shut down.
And this place is crazy right
and
now.
You know what? I ain't going to bed anytime soon.
Why go to bed? You on
Look,
fire. You don't
right?
need to go to bed.
No, ain't no need.
It's suddenly going to
Ain't no
hit
need.
you. Yeah, we'll hit you and you'll crash.
I got something to celebrate tonight. I got people to be with tonight. There's a moment that needs to be recognized tonight. So I'm up.
He's ready. Maurice, I can't thank you enough for always jumping on this podcast with us, supporting us. But tonight is all about our one and only Brent Lambert. And we wanted to kind of talk to you, someone who has been in the industry for a while, and get some reactions from you on how things are going.
How things are going? Y'all don't know how long I've been supporting Fire. Y'all don't know. Because I ain't about that life. I'm about that behind the scenes life. I'm about look here, I see good work going on. And I'm going to support that work as best I can. So, look, I'm going to clear room for young folks. I done had my time. I've done my thing. So if doors have been opened and folks are coming through, they ain't even coming through. I thought I was opening doors for people coming behind me. Man, these brothers and sisters coming up behind me, they kicked open them doors. I held open a crack, they kicked the doors open. These doors mean nothing to them, and I want them doors to mean nothing to them.
So I want to ask that question. What is it like for you to just see them blowing through doors? Did you ever envision it, to actually see that younger generation just blow it down like that?
All right, so I've been in the game a minute. Look here, you're just gonna have to sit through this.
Brent, I don't apologize for doing this to you.
Right. I've been in the game a minute. So when I came on the scene, you could name all of us on one, maybe two hands. And to come to Worldcon today, look, I'm looking around this room right now, and I'm like, oh no, things done changed. And that was the biggest mistake, because things done changed. We ain't going back. We see what's been happening, and look here, whatever I can do to support, whatever we can do to support. Because I didn't get here alone. Brent didn't get here alone. We stood on the shoulders of giants. The work has been done before us. We just here to continue that work. So if we can support, if we can mentor, if we can hold doors open and support one another, because it ain't about me as an individual. It ain't about Brent as an individual. It's about what do we do as a community? How do we support each other as a community? That's what we're here for. And that ain't a lesson I had to teach. I look at Brent like, we didn't have to teach nothing. They came up, they knew that lesson. They lived that lesson. That's what they do. That's what Fire's about. They have lived that lesson. They've absorbed that lesson. Look here. They learn, and they move forward, and they keep it moving forward. And that's all it's about. They keep it moving forward. I am fucking proud right now.
Say it.
Y'all don't know. This is what it's about.
So Maurice, seeing them blow through, seeing them win this Hugo, how is that? I mean, I know it's only been a couple of hours, but how is that energizing you to keep pushing forward and to be a creator when you see them just blow these doors away?
Look here. It means I got to step my game up. I got to step my game up. Ain't no resting on my laurels right now. So I see the people coming up behind me. It's like, I plan on, look here, I may be 50. I still got a few years left in me.
You look so young.
But they ain't letting me rest. Because I see who's coming up behind me. I'm happy they're coming up behind me, but that means I got to step my game up. If I got to stick around, if I'm going to stay relevant at all, I got to step my game up. Look here. I know the work they're doing. I know what's coming up behind me. I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. But I also know I got to step my game up.
Mm-hmm. So, Brent, I just want you to, since you got to absorb it a little bit, because this is going to be like a continuation, I feel like, for the next few months, at least, to really absorb this. But what does it make you feel like to hear, Maurice, someone who's really opened doors, for you to hear that? Like, are you really hearing it? Like, is it sinking in yet?
It's sinking in, yeah. It's sinking in a lot. I mean, it's sinking in so much it's hard to really kind of even talk about it. It's just, I don't know. Me as a kid would never have expected this. Like, anyway, so this is not the life that 10-year-old me was expecting. To be around, you know, people who are so supportive and just making me feel loved, honestly. Like, that's the thing. Like, you know, I've been feeling so loved by so many people in this industry. People have come up to me and tell me, like, oh, you made an impact. And I'm like, really? Like, me? You mean me? Like, nah, you can't talk about somebody else. And, you know, just have those experiences and to... I really don't have the words like that. It's probably, like you said, it's gonna take some time before it really comes up out of me. But it's just kind of like what I was saying, though. You know, like, this is what, you know, we're a miracle. This is what we are right now. Like, existing in this space and in this time is like nothing our ancestors could have ever dreamed of. And I don't take that for granted. Anyway, that's it. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
That answers my question. What you got, Nick?
So I'm sitting across the table right now. I met Maurice in 2018 on Writing Excuses Tour, and he changed my life. Maurice changed my life because he wrote different. Different to me at the time, because I had not read any Black authors. Maurice challenges me in ways in writing that, to this day, I still think about classes and lessons he's taught me. I think about the books that he's written that I've read and like how I can't always relate, but how I can appreciate and see the things that you're doing in that world and helping me see things the way the world really is rather than the westernized white lens that I grew up with. Now I see Brent.
And now we see Brent.
Now we see Brent, and Brent's changed my life in different ways too. But Brent's writing has hit another nerve and feeling for me, and then taught me to learn and grow in writing in a completely different way. So for Maurice, for you, a question for you, and then follow up, I'll have one for you too, Brent. How do you feel the younger generation's writing has been affected by the giants, you, Sheree Renée Thomas? How do you feel like you guys have influenced them to do what they've done?
That's a good one.
Is it?
That's a good one.
Is it?
Hey,
you want to answer first?
No, wait. No, that's not your question, sir.
I'm Maurice on you.
Will just now hit me on the shoulder and said that's a good fucking question. So I think I'm on one tonight.
I don't even know. To be honest with you, I don't even know. Because even to hear my set, even in that question, you know, the giants, and I'm like, who are you talking about? And then you go, the giants like you, and then Sheree Renée Thomas, and I'm like, I just got linked in a sentence with Sheree Renée Thomas. I don't know what to do with that. That, you know, like, all right, knock me on my ass, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that. So my impact, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Well, let me add further. Like, let's unpack this question a little bit.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the industry?
I've been in this game at least 22 years.
And how many books have you released in those 20 years? Not including short stories.
Well, short stories is well over 100.
Brent, I know you've read at least 10 of them.
More than 10? You talking
Okay, there we go.
So-
There we go.
I want to speak on impact. I can speak on impact.
What's that?
I'll speak on impact. If you
Brent,
Brent, am I ready for this? I done cried once.
What I would say is people like Maurice, people like Sheree Renée Thomas, they taught me that it is okay to be black and to be loud and that those things can exist with speculative fiction. Because so many of us we get that fed into us at a young age that those things are white people things, science fiction fantasy, that. And then I run into people like you and the work that you do, and even something that's like Pimp My Airship, like that is black as hell. And
So good.
That simple wording is just like it just is a beacon to you can be black and you can do this, and there's nothing stopping you, and you will find your people and your audience is out there. And without the work that y'all set down and laid the groundwork for, I don't think that people like me, started fire and whatnot, would have even believed that the possibility of building that community exists. So that's your impact. If you're the tree, you're the root. Yeah.
Maurice, did you have anything to respond in that manner on how you might be feeling? I know this is a little crazy.
It is. But look here. I was just talking to someone the other day, and I was just saying, if I was done, like if I wrote nothing else, and Usual Suspects and Pimp My Airship was the last books I left, I could call it a career. No, I'm like, I've said what I need to say and be good. But I ain't done yet.
You ain't done yet.
But I don't even know how to respond to that. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know how to respond to that. I still don't.
Look, just you ain't gotta respond. Like I always tell them is that the thing about impact is that you don't ever know your own impact.
Do not.
And you gotta just do the right thing and do the good thing anyway. And even when you don't know if it resonates with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this blew me away tonight, because I got a live front center of people I guess we resonated with. And
Right.
Wow. I don't think I've ever had that many people change me.
Come on now. That one snuck up on me too. That was just pride. I'm just proud of you. I'm just like, I didn't even know, like, I didn't have words.
Well, I felt it.
I want to ask now then, there's this huge war that happened when you won the award. You gave this really powerful speech. You heard the speech, Maurice. What does that make you, Maurice, I want to ask this question for you first. What does that make you think about the possibility of the future?
They are the future. If anything I've written, and anything I've done, any of the people I've mentored, the work I've done, if any of that has meant anything, it's meant that other voices can come up behind me. That's the work, to clear the room for other voices to come up behind me. So if Brent's coming up behind me, doing the devastating work that he and the Fire team are doing, that's it. If we want to talk in terms of legacy, that's legacy. And I'm good. I'm good with that. Absolutely good with that.
What about you, Brent? What about the future? What do you think the future?
And the future's in good hands.
Yeah. So there's a group out there called the Voodoo Knots, and they're like a younger black collective of writers. And I look at them, and I've told them before, I'm like, y'all got next. Like, I see what you're doing. I see how you're trying to impact the community. And yeah, I think the thing is like, I try not to think about it in terms of like age, I guess, or generation. Like, we're all doing this work simultaneously. Like, it's like I said before about how we approach awards in the future. It's never just a one approach, it's all the above. Like, we all have to be working from the angles that we know how best to work towards the greater good. Like, it's not just about, people in my generation or people before me or people after me. We all have to be working at the same time, and all of us, Fender's P. Shelley Clark says this all the time. He said it to me when I was a newer writer. It's like, a rising tide, like it brings all the ships up, and that's how I see it. I don't even think of it as like passing the torch. We all just carry our torches together and keep moving forward. So,
although I will say this, because you and I spoke earlier this week.
Yep.
And I was like, I see you. I see you. I pulled you, both of you aside and said, I see you.
Yep.
And then earlier tonight, someone came back to me and was like, hey, we heard about what you said to Brent.
Yeah.
And we need you to know that we see you. And that got me thinking. I was just like, a lot of us operate from this space of, man, things we wish we would have seen, or things we wish people would have said to us when we were coming up. And so I knew I was never seen coming up. And I didn't even think about the fact that that's impacted me so much, that the importance for me saying, I see you.
Yeah.
And I see the work that you're doing. But then what I just heard a second ago, you seeing another group coming up behind you, and what'd you say to them?
Yeah.
I see you, and I see the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And being seen is important.
Yeah. Well, and what you said to me was, it was super impactful because, it was super impactful because, like, what you said made me feel like I had the permission to rest. And I haven't felt like, I haven't really felt lately like I've had the, now here it goes. I've been doing so much work for so long.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
So yeah, it felt good to have you tell me like, it's okay to take a break.
All right.
And, it meant a lot. So, yeah. And then, I knew what was going on.
All right, yeah, we're done. Give us a minute.
Lay out the questions.
Right.
All right, Marshall. Just you and Marshall, we've got 5 of us here tonight. Me, Will, Brent, infamous Maurice Broaddus once again, and Sheree Renée Thomas. But you are first time on this podcast, so just keep writing. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Sheree Renée Thomas. Born and raised Memphian. I am the author of a fiction collection called 9 Bar Blues, Stories from the Ancient Future, which was a 2021 Ignite finalist. So I was very, very, very honored and proud of that. I edited 2 anthologies called Dark Matter back in the day, and I am the editor of the magazine of fantasy and science fiction.
Awesome, I love it.
Yeah.
We'll get your credentials as far as like where people can find you at the end of the show. It's with your permission. We'll post it to our show links.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure people can find you. But huge night. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk to you about. We got Brent here. He's blushing already.
I'm around such greatness.
I'm around greatness.
Right?
Or part of the greatness, because I'm looking at these names and I'm like, yes.
Exactly. Brent's about as red as his shirt and Maurice's suit right now.
You fit in that suit, by the way.
Love it. So, Sheree, we kind of been asking Brent all night, what does this mean for the community and what this means for him? And we kind of wanted to bring you and Maurice on, like, people who are pioneers, people who've done something that no one else has done, which now that's Brent. What does tonight mean to you and the efforts that you have put in previously?
I feel like the title of the Nalo Hopkinson and Upender Mihan collection, So Long Been Dreaming, the quote from Harriet Tubman. I feel like this is another watershed moment for our community, for all of our communities, because the thing that's so special about Fiyah is that I guess in the other time we would have just been focused on ourselves and trying to build for the Black community only. But they looked around and saw that everybody was suffering in this paradigm, and they couldn't reinscribe the pain. And so they became a solution-oriented, community-wide, like what we should have been all along as a part of this genre.
Yeah.
And having that acknowledged with one of the largest most beloved awards in the genre. They acknowledge the work that this magazine has done to introduce Black writers. I have been published by them. It was one of my greatest publications because I felt like it came from my community and that somebody in there fought for my work. When it was edited, it's a story that came out of my heart. Justina Ireland and the team made it better than I thought ever could imagine it to be. I'm proud of it. It's been reprinted multiple times. Fiyah did that for me. And the work that and that's just what they did for me. Think about the time period that they've been around, all of the voices that have been strengthened and amplified in their pages, the art, the community, the kindness that they show, the support. To have this be my first Worldcon in my entire career, because I never had a reason to go before. I'm just going to be frank. What it got to do with my actual life? That was my conversation. Why I'm going to spend that money to be up in that space and for them to be treating me crazy? Let's be real. But to be here for the first time and to share that stage with one of my best friends in the world, from my own writing community, Andrea Hairston, and I know that my sister had me and I had her, and we were just going to vibe. I'm just going to be honest. We prayed on them envelopes. We didn't know who was going to win. There's so many amazing finalists, but we prayed on those envelopes, and I just said, let it be, let it be. We need it. And so when Fire was announced, I don't know, we were supposed to be neutral. This on both of us our first time. Yeah. We were like, yeah! It was just a celebration because I know what it means.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge excellence. You have to acknowledge it. And they have done it in so many ways. I honestly felt like they should have got a second one, but that's a whole other thing. Those categories were packed. It was like wall-to-wall excellence. You know what I mean?
Really was.
But the fans delivered for you. You have been delivered. Because of the work that you do. So that's out of my heart. I'm never going to forget this. It is up there with us winning the World Fantasy Award for the first Dark Matter. The second one, I couldn't go. My mom was very, very ill. It was right during the Hurricane Katrina situation as well. And it was just a difficult time. And I just wasn't in the spirit of fandom. I was in the space of realism and actual Black life and trauma and pain or what have you. This is right up there as one of my most exciting moments. Witnessing that, I'm so grateful. Normally I would have been watching on the internet, trying to see what people had on, what outfits or whatever. This is very special, and I think that it is well earned and deserved.
Brent, for you guys to be able to not only be nominated, and I'll just say, I got here, it's geriatric and white as fuck out here, and everyone already knows I'm the white author on the podcast here, and like I was feeling uncomfortable until I was able to link up with Will and Brent and find this community that's sitting out here right now and the community that Brent's been building up. Brent's introduced me to a lot of people just by way of being Brent.
Yeah.
I think it's a big thing that Brent's doing out here, and everyone keeps coming back to community with them. But there's a phrase I wanted to ask you about. Maurice, I want to ask you about it too. Brent, obviously you're going to have to answer it as well. But when people say, I see you, or when you tell someone, I see you, what kind of impact do you think that has? Not only when you say it, but when you hear it. Do you feel like it has on Black creators?
For someone to tell you, I see you, it's like a poem. It's like a distilled poem. It's like a haiku expression that I see all the things that are unspoken. I see the work, the labor that you're doing that doesn't get acknowledged. I see the intention and the heart, the focus you're putting on the work that you're giving out there. They might not see it, but I see you. Don't stop. Don't stop. You're on the right path. You're doing what you're supposed to do. I see you. That's a verbal support. That's like a haiku, mantra. Yeah.
I think of the African greetings. I think it's Salbana, which is I see you. which is an acknowledgement of the person in front of you, the totality of that person, the potential of that person, because we're used to being erased, frankly. I mean, much of our history is a history of erasure. Much of as beloved as these awards are, a lot of these awards are a history of erasure. You know, the people who weren't there, who weren't seen, who were ignored, who weren't allowed to participate. That's the history of these awards. We weren't let in. We weren't seen. But I see you. That's an important thing. That's a recognition of who you are as a human. That's a recognition, again, of the work that you do, of who you are. And again, what I like, end of the future. End of the future. Because you ain't done now. I see you today. I will see you tomorrow. Because the work ain't done yet. But I see you.
Yeah. Ooh. How you gonna leave me for the end? I gotta follow up these two. Hey, that ain't fair.
Ray, it is what it is, man. Like, you're up and coming, like.
But you know, it means so much to me to know that it seemed like so many circumstances came together to just make this a perfect moment. To have Sheree and Andrea as the host for this thing, I was like, I couldn't have asked for anything better than the moment that we had. So to know that, that uproar that happened when they called our name, that felt like
it was a ripple, right?
It was a ripple.
It was a call and response out there.
I don't think I've ever felt more seen in my life in that moment, because it was like, this is work. This is there's so much in the background that people don't know about, so much that we've sacrificed, things we've had to put on hold, and that's not to complain, because we did it out of love, but it just felt good to have people see us in that moment, and it felt like the right people saw us too, because I said before this was even done, win or lose, the right people already have seen me, and that was enough.
The world saw you. WorldCon, baby.
Yeah.
Streaming. That's why I haven't even had the energy to go online and see it. I've just been in the present, living in the present of this moment.
Yeah. And I'll be honest though, knowing that I had like legends like these who support and saw me, it made it easy to go on that stage and give the speech. Because it's like I had an army behind me already, so I was good. Yeah.
I want to talk about, in your speech, you talked about ancestors.
And
about how, and Maurice really touched upon about, he didn't have someone say, I see you. And I want to actually talk about Octavia Butler for a minute, because she is someone who I don't think is actually appreciated enough by the wider audience. And it's like now she's finally getting her due after she passed away. And, and I want to start with you, Sheree. What do you think she would think about this win? Like, how do you think, like when you think about someone who just affected not just the Black community, but she's profound, like the things she wrote about are happening now. What do you think she would think of this win and seeing them knock down these doors?
I think she would be extremely proud, very supportive. I think it might make her think about all the time that she worked and labored and believed in her own dream by herself for many years, without many models at all. And to know that a publication like this is regularly supporting other writers who had the dream that she nursed in herself, right? All those years, I think it would be very significant. Absolutely. It is so interesting that you ask about her. Andrea and I both had the opportunity to study with her at Clarion West. We were there. That was the Clarion where she decided she wanted to move to Seattle from California. She was significant. We were between Andrea, myself, and our late friend Alma Patterson. It was the largest number of Black students they ever had since in their history. And she was a student of Clarion as well. And it was I just feel like there's so much synchronicity that's happening. She was very supportive of Dark Matter and very supportive of us as writers, and just to see that so many writers are coming out of Fire, and also the work that they're doing with FireCon, the work that they did with FireCon, and also like the communities that they inspired and are continuing to inspire. I can't imagine her not being thrilled and knowing that her work and her example as a person and as a professional in the field, and her eloquence, she was wonderfully eloquent, would, I don't know even what to say. Like, you're getting me too. You're getting me too about this, too meta right now. But absolutely, I think that Octavia Butler would be very, very pleased to see this.
Amazing.
And think about it. Samuel Delaney was her teacher, and they were often placed on, panels together because they were, the black writers at the time, even though their work was very different from each other. You would put those two writers together, but there was that support and respect as well. So to have a community that's beyond 2 or 4 with Tananarive and Stephen Barnes or Jewel Gomez, to have this larger community, I think she would just be thrilled because it's in her life. I mean, I wish she was here to see all the love that she's getting.
I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. But she did her work. So
yeah.
And the Fire Magazine team is doing their work in a way that we could have only could only have dreamed of. We did what we could do. It takes a different type of spirit and ability to collaborate and a different kind of energy to be able to produce a magazine like this.
I mean, because when I think about Octavia Butler, I think a couple of things. I think, one, her prophetic voice, her ability to speak truth to power, to be fearless. I think about that. And I also think about her ability to manifest.
Oh, yeah.
Because she manifested her career when there wasn't examples out there. And so when I think about Fire, I think about what it looks like to operate from a place of vision, right? Where there are no clear roadmaps of what they're trying to do. There's history in front of them. There's ancestors in front of them. There are people who've role modeled different parts of it, which they've latched onto, and then say, hey, you know what? From the vantage point where we're working from standing on the shoulders of the people who've come before us, we're able to see a lot further. We're able to cast a different vision, and we're going to work to that vision. And so all of that, I can't see Octavia being anything but proud, right?
That is just hearing that. Why would you ask that question?
I love that we reach for her, right? Reach for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And it's like, we when we started the magazine, we saw our elders and we saw the work that they were doing, and we just understood they deserve more. They deserve more than what they've been given, especially, from this industry that just can be so callous sometimes. And we wanted to do more for those who are already here and for those who were yet to come. And I think I can confidently say we did that. So, but I'm always thinking about doing more. And mentorship, I think, is a big part of the next step for Fire and what we're thinking about, because we know that these other outlets aren't interested in mentoring Black writers in the way that they need to be mentored, and reaching out for them in the way that they need to be reached out to. So that is our next step.
So my next question is going to be for you first, and then I want to go to Sheree and I want to go to Maurice. And I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but my queer Black friends who have just started listening to the podcast because I've been talking about it and I've been talking a lot about Brent, one of them said to me, I always wanted to write, but I never saw anyone who was queer and Black and embrace both parts, because you're not just one or the other. And we talk a lot about intersectionality a lot on the podcast. So you won this award with Fiyah and everyone under there, but you gave this speech, and how do you feel about being a voice for people that have never heard of it? Because now my friend who is queer and Black was like, I actually want to start writing because I never knew that my stories had any type of value.
Wow, that blows me away hearing that, because y'all know me. I don't like bragging about anything that that we do. It's hard for me to celebrate anything because I'm always thinking, what's the next step? Or what's the next thing? What's the next project we need to get to? So, hearing that and then hearing some of the other comments I've heard tonight, it's just, I don't know, it's really eye-opening in a way. And it's kind of making me think like, maybe I need to pause a little more. Maybe I need to pause some and actually think about, impact and the ways we are affecting people. Because I don't necessarily think of that all the time. And being around all these wonderful people and hearing, the things they've had to tell me has made me really decide maybe I need to change my mindset about that. Because, I'm a bit of a workaholic. So hearing stuff like that, I don't know. It blows me away. Yeah.
So my question is for the both of you, Sheree and Maurice. Like, when you see not just that he's Black, but that he's queer and he's getting these opportunities and he's, again, breaking down doors, and you see that throughout our industry, how does that make you feel to see, the people who are considered the lower of society and then sometimes even within the Black community to be less than because of their queerness? How does that make you feel to see that they're being raised up and they're breaking down doors?
I think the representation is critical. My eldest is a trans young person, and the courage it takes just to be your true full self in this society that's always trying to, as you said, erase you and box you and place you. I don't even have words to describe that. And representation is critical, right? At a time when Black trans people are being murdered at a rate that is astonishing, right? Or underemployed, right? That don't have access to the proper health care, even beyond regular, most Americans don't have proper health care. But imagine being, trans, right? Our laws aren't set up properly to even address the things that need to happen. Like, all of that is just a whole nother realm. So to see an artist, to see a community of artists, to see their voices as your friend is, thinking about the value of their own voice and realizing that, hey, there's something important that I can share and that there are other people out here doing it. I mean, this is the time. It's now more than ever. And there's so much of a backlash. These forces are trying to pull us into these dark ages, and we're not going. And we need institutions, right? We need institutions. So you need brave people who are willing to make some of their process transparent, to be able to talk about the things and tease out what it means to be about this work, this work that James Baldwin, talked about, to be able to talk about it and to have an institution that they've created, that they have nurtured, that they have safeguarded so that others can be a part of it as well. All of that is critical right now. I don't like right now. You get me. Hey, thank you. You get me in the top of my feelings.
Right.
I have no more small talk. You just get the whole thing. I can't even filter and edit it. All I can say is that it is important. It's critical. It is life changing, and it is saving lives. In ways. I know during the pandemic, I was very, very deeply depressed. Even as I was working, right? People like, Sheree, what do you do? I'm always working. You might not find out about it until a year or 2 years later, but I'm always working. But in the work, sometimes there's joy, but then sometimes there's this sadness that you feel, right? Because it never seems like it's enough, or it never seems to be all the things that you want to express, right? And I can just say, going to other people's art, reading books, listening to the music is key, watching movies. Like the art, if it wasn't for art, I don't even know how I could have handled the stress I had about loved ones, if they were going to be okay during the pandemic. what was really happening around us. All of that was so, all of that came up to the surface. But it was the art that rooted me. It was the art that centered me, just as it was when I was a child. It was the art that centered me today. And when you're creating this kind of revolutionary work, and revolutionary, not in a cliche, t-shirt, I'm wearing my t-shirt and I'm going to the coffee shop way, but I mean revolutionary because you're doing the hard work that don't nobody else want to do. You're doing the hard work that people are afraid to do because they think they're going to fail. You're willing to risk failure to do it. That's the revolutionary work that I'm talking about, while you're living your own individual lives. To be able to do that, to be that force that helps others and to have it acknowledged. Because that's all this is what it means. Because you've been doing the work. We've been knowing, right? And if they hadn't won, we would have been talking shit afterwards. Right. Oh, they've been robbed again. Right. But the fans said, not today. Right. Not today, right? They saw you. They saw all of you. And they came in force. And I love that, to know that is a part of our fandom. You understand? To know that that's a part of our fandom in 2021, because we know what it was like before. And it's not that we're at the promised land now, but this rocket right here, made from the same quarry, the marble from the National Monument. And it's actually it's the dark one, right? I feel like there's no coincidences here. It's important.
Things done happen to come together to make.
Oh my God!
I mean, the fact that you were hosting, Andrea was hosting. The fact that it's this dark stone. The fact that I almost didn't come. I almost did not come to this because I was annoyed and I was grumpy about it. And I was like, I don't feel like dealing with these white people. And then LD, bless her, she was like, well, you got to come because I'm not about to be alone here. And, what she says, I do. So I was like, I'm going to hop in there. I'm going to catch this flight and I'll be out here. And, best decision ever.
To see the surprise.
I was shocked.
Oh my gosh. And she was speechless.
Yeah, she was in her chair. She was just in her chair shaking. And I jump up and Tochi Anyibushi's behind me. He's like giving me a hug, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. But it was amazing.
And did you feel the joy in the room?
I felt it. No, I felt it, and it made giving that speech easier because at first I was nervous. I had talked to them earlier in the day. I was like, listen to this and tell me if it's trash or not. 'Cause I don't know if I know what I'm talking about.
No, it's profound.
So when I got up there, it was easy because I was like, I feel the love. I felt it. Like it was radiating. Yeah. It was an amazing experience. Once in a lifetime. I mean, wow.
So Maurice, same question. To see Brent be Black and queer and see the community that they're building that is really inclusive of everyone in the Black community, how does that affect you? And when you look at it?
Yeah, because I know, so I don't look at it in terms of, I see the opportunities, but it's like the opportunities he's earned. It's the opportunities he's demanded. And when in doubt, it's the opportunities he's just had to flat out create. So I look at that, and then it just reminds me of what does it mean to center marginalized voices? And why do we want to center those marginalized voices? And it kind of goes back to that idea of the ability to see and to have that vision, because from the spaces that we come from, our whole selves, where we come from, we know how we've been treated. We know how we've been locked out. So we know where we want to be, and we know how we want to get there. And we know sometimes we got to build our own institutions in order to get where we want to be and to do what we want to do. And so it's that ability to be our full selves and be supported in our full selves, and then come together with people who and that's it. That whole ability to pull people together. I mean, let's not overlook that. Building community, not everyone can build community.
That shit is hard.
That is hard. And it takes some special ones to build community. And that starts with seeing people. And when you are used to being marginalized, you see from a very special vantage place, which means that when you have the opportunities to build and opportunities to create, you create and build in a different way. That's what it means.
You know, Sheree, you said something about revolution, and you brought up James Baldwin, and there's this quote by him that artists are here to disturb the peace, you know, and I remember reading that as 12 years old, and he was the first person who was queer who I ever was exposed to in my life. And it really profoundly affected me, and that quote stuck with me, and I love that you brought him up. Again, like, you know, we talked about Octavia Butler, but what do you think James Baldwin would also say? Because it's, you know, again, I'm going back to Brent's speech again about easier questions. You know, and just thinking about the struggles that he also went through as a black man, as a gay man, during a period of history where he was just, you know, again, ridiculed and looked down upon and hated upon, and even some people in the black community also because of his, you know, queerness. You know, what do you think he would say?
Oh my God, you got me sparking. First of all, James Baldwin was surrounded by family that loved him. And I don't know if people realize that. James Baldwin had people that loved him, right? You know, even though going through all of that, I walked by the building that he bought for his family, right? In 1965, from the fruits of his labor, his writing, his truth-telling on the page. So he was courageously telling the truth that people didn't want to hear. He was always disturbing the peace. If you go on YouTube, you're going to see videos of him vibing with Nick and Giovanni. Mm-hmm. Just, they was getting it in. They had the conversation of the ages, right? The feelings that he had about not being in America during the civil rights movement, and the way that he approached people when they tried to come to him with foolishness, and he would just break it down. That truth-telling thing, I feel like James Baldwin, if his imagination took him towards the speculative, right? Who's to say he might not have been a supporter of Fiyah Magazine or something like that? Who's to say what would a James Baldwin speculative fiction story look like, right? You know, the disturbing the peace, I felt like that speech disturbed the peace because this nomination, all of these nominations were disturbing the peace because the publication and the con was a representation of what should have been happening all along in the genre. It was in the creation of the work and the community around the work and people vibing with it and wanted to support it around the world, right? It was an indictment against some of the oldest institutions in the genre that's supposed to be doing this work, and well-funded, that are supposed to be doing this work all alone, right? How can you say you're about this life when you're not even doing these things? Mm-hmm. The toolkit has been created. The bar is raised, right? And there are no excuses left. So that's the disturbing the peace. Your speech disturbed the peace. Because you could have just said, oh, thank you, Master. Thank you for this award. We're good. You know, we're so grateful. And now that you're not, but you also chose to be brave and tell a hard truth in the speech. Because you had the platform of the world at that moment for our community, right? For our fandom. Right. And you are a part of fandom. And these writers are a part of the canon that comes out of this work. So I feel like James Baldwin, if we think about the work, and he is actually not taught the way he should be taught. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can't say that he's a part of the syllabi in these schools, especially public schools, right? Right. And it's a crying and a shame, as we say in Memphis. It's a crying and a shame. But we will raise his voice, right? I don't know what James Baldwin's are going to come out of the pages of a Fiyah, right? But the fact that the pages are here, that the opportunity is there, and now that you're looking to mentorship, because you're already reviewing, because that was something that was lacking. Yeah. The depth of the reviews. right?
Back on that.
You know, but it's important. It's an important part of it.
Yep.
You know, all of that is the, you know, the kind of revolution, and then it's pain in that. It's pain in it. James Baldwin had to leave. He had to leave, right? He had to leave. But what he left us with, you know what I mean? Yeah. That we're still talking about it all, you know, all these years later, we're still going back to the well to get nourished by it. That is my hope. I would just say this. The work that was published in Fire was work that I would never send anywhere else in the genre for a number of reasons. I had hope, like we all have hope when we send our work out there, no matter the market. I had hope that maybe someone reading it at Fire might understand what I was trying to do with that particular story. And the fact that we have to look around and say, where can I send stories like this? And struggle and scratch our head and try to figure it out. That's a problem, right? That's a problem, right? Because this is supposed to be the place of innovation. This is supposed to be the place of endless imagination and experimentation and all the things, right? We're supposed to be the cutting edge ahead of it. But it's not happening at the level that it needs to be happening. Right. But it's possible. It's possible in the publication. My only hope is that you all continue, that you stay healthy, that you exercise any demons that might come in that will have you become the gatekeepers in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
Check yourselves over and over again for that, because it's possible. We get to be the cool.
Yeah.
And then you can be reinscribed in some of the same things in a different way. Stay fresh, stay open, stay cool like you've been doing, right? Right? Stay flowing and stay open to the reasons why you all created in the first place. I wish Troy was here.
Oh, me too.
I wish the whole team was here.
I wish, 'cause, you know, I wouldn't be here without Troy. Troy is the reason I am.
Wow.
Yeah. No, that's also true. Because I wouldn't be here without Troy. When I was first a baby in the weeds, I didn't know anything. And Troy saw my like boundless enthusiasm that had no direction. And he was like, "Come on, man, let me help you out." And you know, he introduced me to P. Gilly Clark and Devon Sanders. And, you know, they were just so welcoming and open with me. And you know, they never they could have told me, "You're doing too much. Like you need to calm down." But no, they only ever encouraged me and nurtured me, and you know, they tilled that ground for us to exist. And yeah, wouldn't be here without them. Wouldn't be here without y'all. You know, like this road, this is just a highway. This highway's always been here. We just, you know, we finally hopped off the exit and we driving down it now. But
oh, y'all balling out of control right now.
yeah, you know, I'm still speechless about a lot of it. I'm still digesting it. There's so much. So I'm gonna let Maurice get to his part of the question, because I know you had it going too.
Man, I know I was so caught up in the words, I never forgot the question.
It's when you think about James Baldwin and his journey. You know, what do you think he would make of seeing young people and what Fiyah has done and just breaking down doors?
Yeah, so when I think of James Baldwin, I mean, his biggest lesson to me was, what does it mean to be unapologetically human? And that was the lesson for James Baldwin for me. And to bring that to your art, to bring that to your craft, to bring that to your community. I mean, that's it, ain't it?
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Oh. So, man, I got not much to add to that, because I'm just like, look, I'm still learning the lessons of James Baldwin and what that means to me and my art. You're still learning the lessons of what that means to you and your art.
So much learn.
That's what it means for us to continue to grow, to continue to change, to continue to push ourselves forward as individuals, as a community, as a genre. To not settle for the status quo, but to keep pursuing that essential question of what does it mean to be unapologetically human.
I don't think people in our publishing community always understand that writers from communities like ours aren't just doing art for art's sake all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it is the world of the imagination, and you are, you know, having fun and doing the hard work. But it's also, you writing to survive. Like Ishmael Reed said, you know, writing is fighting, right? Mm-hmm. And that it is not just, oh, I'm going to write this story about this thing and its plot, da-da-da-da. But you're actually trying to pave a way for people to survive and live through the story and the art that you're creating. It's something, not that every single story is like that, but the act of even carving out time to be able to do that from some of these communities where you are just struggling to be alive on the planet, to remain, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it's not always just I got to get this writing credit. I got to get this, you know, I got to put this on my, you know, and have this book on my shelf because it's one of my contributors' copies. It's not just a contest or numbers games. It is about that. Yeah, it's not an accolade. It's not just that. You know what I mean? It is creating a community through your art on the page. It's recording that community. It's being an archivist. It's being the eyes and the ears of the moment.
Right.
It's telling the stories like I hope your friend will do, that your friend might think no one wants to hear, but somebody, it's their necessary thing. You know what I mean? They need that story. And they may have never seen it before your friend chooses to share it. That's what we're doing. And when you're doing a magazine like this, you created a space for that. So
Thank you. Yes.
I have one more question.
One more. All right.
And, you know, when you look at what's happening in the world right now, and even when people are given facts, they don't want to believe anything because it doesn't fit with their narrative. So that tells us how powerful stories are. How do you think we can write ourselves to a better future? And this is open to anyone who wants to go first.
Maurice, you can tell him you want an easy question. And you re-ask
going out with a bang.
Will over here. I got questions still too. That's the problem.
But I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the work of what we do. I mean, when we look at Afrofuturism, I think of, you know, we're critiquing the present, and that critique is rooted in the past. But the whole point is to imagine ourselves in the future. Our whole point is to create better paths. No, hang on. Let me take that back. One of the roles we have is to create spaces to dream, to create spaces to imagine, because we don't often take the time to do that. Life doesn't often allow us the time and space and resources to do that. So what do? We are professional dreamers, right? And that's what we do. So we imagine, we dream, we cast these visions for who we want to be and where we want to be. And that creates roadmaps for us. That creates a blueprint that we can work towards. I mean, I think that's the essential work of art, and that's an essential part of what we do, especially as Black creatives.
Yeah, I mean, writing ourselves to a better future. I think part of that is just, you know, writing honestly and truly to your experiences, and, you know, not being afraid to say the hard things, even when it might not be received so well. Because I think that's a lot of what we're dealing with now, is that, you know, people are scared to tell each other what they need to hear. And I think that's what you got to do as a storyteller. You got to speak your truth and, you know, not be afraid to say it. And because we're entering this time where I feel like, and it's kind of scary, but you see art being diluted and chopped up and, you know, being put into these neat little slots that, you know, that can fit the marketing budget or the corporate agenda or whatever. And you don't want to turn art into a hashtag, right? Like, you want art to be an experience. And I think you got to write to your experiences if you're going to get there.
So it's like Zora Neale Hurston said. Like if you don't, I'm paraphrasing because I'm gonna get it wrong, but if you don't speak on your pain, they'll kill you and say you like it. So we gotta speak on our pain, and I think that's how you get to a better future. You don't avoid the ugly parts of the present. So yeah.
I don't think I have anything to add to that.
You want to ask her any question?
Oh, sure. I'll ask.
You can ask the show question. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. It'll be
No,
easy.
you ask the show question. This is easy one.
What just keeps you writing? What keeps you writing stories and building better worlds or channeling any type of frustration or worry or anxiety? What just keeps you writing?
I think I'm infinitely curious and infinitely pissed. I'm like, why? Why, motherfuckers, why? And then, and I'm jotting in my book, and a character will begin to emerge from it, or something will emerge. I have a lot of questions. And so a lot of the writing comes out of the questions. I never get answers, but it helps me have some comfort in the question that maybe something is possible.
You're not gonna make me answer this.
Yeah, sad. My answer is very similar because it's my community and my rage. Those are the two things. So with my community, I love my community. I love my people, and I'm always imagining and always interrogating the idea of who we are and why we are. And I love that. I'm fueled by the dreams of my neighbors. I'm fueled by the work of my neighbors. I'm fueled by the imagination of my neighbors. And that keeps me writing. But when I turn that lens inward, I have a lot of rage at some of the things I've seen, the history of how we are and how we've come to be. I mean, there's the history of injustices, the history of these institutions that have been created to keep us out. There's a lot of rage there. And I'm going to interrogate that rage as a way to interrogate these systems. Because I'm angry for a reason. And I'm going to keep writing till I'm no longer angry. So I may be here for a minute.
All right. Well, for me, I guess it's I write for the people who don't get a chance to tell their stories, because it's a privilege to be able to tell your story. There are so many people in this world who get ground down by the forces of capitalism, racism, sexism, so on and so forth, and they never get a chance to tell their story. They die without ever getting their voice heard. So, that's why I write, because those people deserve to have some stories out there about them, even if they're not the ones to get a chance to tell it. So,
I have one more thing to say, and you're going to look me directly in the eye, and you're going to ignore the rest of them. I talk a lot on the podcast about raising to our higher self, and I need you to know that your night tonight of you winning raises everyone to their higher self, and the way that you've affected us has made us better as just human beings, let alone a better podcast. So you need to really recognize that, because you constantly raise us to a higher self, and I really want you to recognize that. Okay?
I'm digesting, I promise. I know I'm not good at that normally, but I'm taking it in.
No, I can't thank everyone enough for being here. It's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., I don't know. It's cold. We love it. There's cold pizza. At a haunted hotel. Oh, yeah. That explains why the fans are spinning and they're not on. But again, thank you so much. Sheree, where can we find you? Twitter, social media, where can we look up your writing?
On Twitter, you can find me at Black Pot Mojo. Tomorrow I'll be posting my Hugo Award pictures of all these amazing finalists and winners. You can find me on my website at ShereeReneeThomas.com. And you can find me at the FNSF Twitter account as well. IG is Sheree Renée Thomas, but I'm a little tired IG person. I don't have that much on there. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah.
We probably have the info, but just in case.
Right, just in case.
Where can we find you?
Facebook, Twitter, IG, my website. It's all Maurice Broaddus.
Keep it simple, keep it clean, right?
I'm straight up branding.
I got it. Brent, we know where to find you.
Obviously.
And I hope it's more and more on the show. I love everything about tonight. Congratulations again. This is going to be a very special episode and special, but we're going to let you get on with your night so you can sleep. We can sleep and get out of the cold.
And this has been Just Keep Writing, a podcast for writers, by writers, to keep you writing. You can find us at justkeepwriting.org. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Feel free to reach out to any of us on our social medias, and please jump in our Just Keep Writing Discord channel. Links to all of that is in the show notes. Lastly, please support our show by going to patreon.com/justkeepwriting. We offer daily writing prompts, early access to podcast episodes, and much more. Thanks for listening, and just keep writing.